I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Lots of UFC wrapped up. UFC Vegas 2 this weekend. UFC 251 got announced. A little bit more about the NBA's plans to return to play, as well as some big boxing news to close out the show. Before we get into that, I want to talk about Fight TV, because Fight TV provides a special selection of premium events from boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, and other combat sports. Watch pay-per-view events from over 25 promotions 30 days after airing. Fight Plus includes organizations like Brave FC, Unified MMA, UC MMA, CZW, BKB, FSW, BCB Boxing, Kunlun, and much, much more, all available for your viewing pleasure. Cancel at any time. If you guys can get a 7-day free trial, you can go through all the links that are available on our website, on our YouTube, and on our Podbean. So if you guys want to support us and get some awesome content to watch during this coronavirus period, right before we go back to work, go through Fight Plus and Fight TV. UFC 250 was this last Saturday night in the main event. Amanda Nunes doing exactly what we expected her to, dominating Felicia Spencer. I believe the official significant strike total was like 124 to 42, and I don't even remember any of those 42. Felicia Spencer landed nothing of significance. Amanda Nunes looked like she had just gone for a jog after the 25 minutes period. Now, full credit to Felicia Spencer. She made the decision. She didn't even really get rocked once either, which was kind of impressive to me. Like, I hate when people give fighters props for their chin and like, oh, they have so much heart. It's like when Anthony Smith went the distance with John Jones, they were like, oh, he had so much heart. That's a way of saying you got your ass kicked for the entire time. But people want to be nice to you. That's pretty much what it is. I will never say that about a fighter. What I will say is that Felicia Spencer probably has the greatest chin in MMA history. 15 minutes with Chris Cyborg, 25 minutes with Amanda Nunes, never rocked once, never dropped once. That's insane. But Amanda Nunes making history, first ever woman to defend, first ever champion ever actually defend 2 titles simultaneously. And it was just how we're impressed with you by her performance. But also, did you have a problem with the fight as a whole? Because I saw some people were kind of mad that the fight went on as long as it did.
I think in reality, there was a merciful ending. It could have been a lot worse than what it was. Luckily, it was drawn out. Which, you could argue is good or bad, but I didn't think it was bad.
Are you a bit surprised that she kind of maintained after the fight that she wants to keep going?
The retirement speech wasn't out of my mind fully up until that point, but I guess it's not in hers.
Yeah, I know we both kind of expected her to potentially retire, but instead she said she would keep going, and I guess it makes sense. She's going to secure that bag, so.
It's all about that bag. Oh, technical difficulty coming inbound.
So yeah, we're just gonna cut that part out. Co-main event: Cody Garbrandt knocking out Rafael Assunção. Cody put 4 years actually of losses, 4 years of knockout losses, 4 years of just being kind of disappointing following his amazing performance over Dominic Cruz. He put all of that energy into one punch, and he knocked the fuck out of Rafael Assunção. He right at the buzzer, near the end of the second round. Cody looked really good up into that. But he was kind of, I don't want to say he was gun shy. He's just kind of darting in and out. He was landing some good leg kicks as well. He was the much quicker guy, and kind of expected that because Rafael is 37 now. But he looked calm. He looked collected. At the end of that second round, he landed just an incredible right hand, and he put Rafael Assunção to sleep. I saw the Cody Garbrandt. The rankings got released this morning. He got pushed all the way to number 4. Just how impressed were you by Cody Garbrandt's performance? I know both of us going in were kind of iffy on him getting the win.
It was a devastating knockout. First of all, that must have been heartbreaking right at the bell. You're thinking in your head, maybe if I waited out one more second, we make it to the third, and maybe that doesn't happen, and you win it on the cards or whatever. But he just looked lighter on the feet. He didn't look stiff, and he, like you said, maybe he was gun shy, but he found that shot, man, and that's the one thing he needed, and he connected, and it was lights out right there for that man. And Oh boy, I mean, it wasn't the only highlight knockout of the night, but man, was that something special.
Yeah, absolutely incredible performance by Cody, and kind of elevated himself back, being in the title picture, which I don't think any of us expected. Because I think even if we expected him to beat Rafael Assunção, we also didn't really expect him to kind of jump into that title picture. But whenever you do that to a guy like Rafael Assunção, you're immediately in the conversation. And now he's ranked number 4, and I can't even be mad about it. Cody Garbrandt 2.0 looked phenomenal. Moving on, the bantamweight title eliminator. The winner of this is going to get a shot at the title, which is going to be fought for 3 weeks from now. Jose Aldo and Peter Yan. Aljamain Sterling took him all of a minute to choke out Corey Sandhagen, rear naked choke, put him to sleep. Aljo going in, I'm pretty sure both of us we both picked Aljo, and I wasn't surprised at him winning, but I was surprised at him just kind of dominating Corey Sandhagen, which is he's a really good wrestler, and he just dominated him on the mat, got the submission quick. Just how surprised were you by Aljo's performance?
I mean, I didn't even expect the submission to happen. I thought this man was going to come out here and box, but no, he just catches the back and brings the man to the ground and chokes him out. It was wild. I did not expect that to happen at all.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I thought honestly the smaller cage might work into Corey Sandhagen's game. I just think he's a really, really good guy at pressuring his opponents. He's very good at getting in the cage. And I wasn't really expecting it to go as quick as it did. Sandhagen kind of rushed in. Aljo immediately slipped to the left, got the back, standing, went for the rear naked choke. Sandhagen tried to get it off him, tried to get him off. Couldn't do it. Aljo ended up getting it deeper. Sandhagen went to sleep. And he's going to be fighting for the title next. And I'm pretty sure it's kind of unanimous at this point that Aljo should probably be fighting for the title over Jose Aldo. And I love Jose Aldo. That man's one of the greatest fighters of all time. We'll talk about it as we're going to talk about the entire 251 card in a couple minutes. But goddamn, I just feel like they should have just slotted Aljamain Sterling in there, man. He deserves a shot over both those guys, honestly. Regardless, up next on the card, Neil Magny defeating Anthony Rocco Martin. This one was a bit of an iffy decision. I saw some people thought Rocco won it. I saw that some thought Neil Magny won it. First of all, who did you score it for? And what do you think about the fight to begin with? I saw a lot of people kind of trashing the fight through 2 rounds, but the third round, I thought Neil Magny turned up the pressure and made that fight a banger near the end.
It wasn't bad. It was. I mean, it was a nice, nice little dance between them two. I mean, you're not always gonna have, an absolute brawl. It wasn't a terrible fight. It wasn't Izzy versus Yoel, although I still think that was one of the most not as exciting fights I've seen in my lifetime. And I've watched Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, so you know. It is what it is. I thought Neil won it. It was close. But he looked like the better guy out there. I thought he seemed more in control at times and more dominant in rounds. So I personally gave it to Neil, but I could see the argument for Anthony.
Yeah, I saw the argument for him as well. I thought the first round was clearly Rocco Martin's. I thought the second one was kind of a toss-up. And I thought the third round might have even been a 10-8 because Neil Magny pretty much beat the shit out of him in that round. And you could tell Rocco was kind of gassing and Neil was turning up the pressure. But regardless, I thought Neil won. I thought it was a good win for him. I think now he's back in the top 15. If he's not, he should be. Neil Magny has looked arguably better in his last 2 fights than he has at any point in his UFC career, which is kind of crazy to me, but like he looked so good in that third round. It looked like it took him a bit to kind of tune up, and when he did, he started beating the hell out of Rocco Martin, who's a top 15 guy in his own right. And then before that, Li Jianlang, who was in the top 15, beat the shit out of him. So absolutely awesome win for Neil Magny there. And then the one that I really want to talk to you about, because I know we've been on this man's hype train really ever since he got out of the UFC, ever since he was on the Contender Series. Sugar Sean O'Malley, despite not being ranked, despite not even being one of the top fights on the main card, knocking out one of the most durable guys. Eddie Wineland has been stopped by strikes once in his UFC, not even UFC career, in his MMA career for Saturday night. And the Sugar Show goes in there looking like Tekashi 6'9", and he knocks him out inside the first round with the right hand walk off. Joe Rogan said it was one of the greatest walk-off knockouts in MMA history, and I'm inclined to believe him. Um, how impressed were you by the Sugar Show, and who do you think he deserves next? Because I see so many people saying that he's the next big star, and to me, I'm seeing him rise up. It reminds me a lot of Conor McGregor, like obviously in a different way, because Conor was kind of more of he had a nation behind him, he was trash talking, but there's something about the Sugar Show. He has that energy, and I know who I want him to fight next, but I'm curious who you want him to fight next.
Bro, right now, our friend Sean O'Malley has the biggest dig energy in the world after that devastating knockout. Let me tell you that. There's some killers though at bantamweight, you know. I mean, we already heard the call out after a certain someone on that card. Maybe that certain someone is Cody Garbrandt, which I don't know. Maybe that's a little too soon for Sean. I mean, at this point, we don't know what's too much and what's too little for Sean O'Malley. Maybe we should just keep, making our way up slowly and face the next challenge. Get our first ranked opponent in,
Yeah. Personally, I think a good fight for him would probably be John Dodson. I think whatever he fights next, it has to be a main event. I don't know if it's an ESPN Plus main event. I don't know if it's an ESPN main event. I think it should be main event, though. I think he needs to have 5 rounds. And I think if he fight against John Dodson, who, I love me some John Dodson. He's probably the fastest guy in that division. I think it'd be an interesting style matchup. He'd tower over John Dodson. I think he'd have 6 or 7 inches on him. But that'd be an awesome fight. But it depends on how much they want to push this kid. If they wanted to push him more, because I think Dodson's 12 or 13 or something. If they want to push him to fight Cody No Love, who he actually called out, I think Sugar Sean, he called out Cody No Love in the post-fight press conference. That's an awesome fight. I would not complain about that one. Maybe that's too much too soon. But this kid, man, I'm so impressed with him. And honestly, I think that type of fight might even work into his favor. Maybe that's just me. But it seems like he was kind of poking the bear in the post-fight press conference, too. And he was talking about Cody and talk about just kind of talking shit on him. If that fight happens and Cody gets out of control, I would not be surprised to see Sean sleep him.
Would you like to see maybe Sean take his first ranked opponent and then after that maybe take on Cody? Do you think maybe that's the move for the UFC? Put him in a main event slot. Give him like a decently seasoned guy who's ranked. And then from that, and let's say Sean wins that, then give him that Cody fight he wants, because he proved himself. Do you think maybe that'd be the move?
Well, let me be clear. I think that no matter what, Garbrandt O'Malley needs to happen. That's just a fight that, in my head, I'm like, oh fuck, that sounds amazing. I don't know if it needs to happen next. What should happen is I think he should face John Dodson. I know Dodson got a win earlier this year. I know he's ranked. I think that's a really, really good winnable fight for Sean O'Malley. I think maybe that's even too much though, because Dodson's such a hard fight for everybody, man. He's so quick. I'm not really sure how the one would work, but he'd have the big height advantage, have the reach advantage. I think him versus John Dodson next would be the move. But in the meantime, have Cody fight somebody in that, I don't know, 5 to 10 range. I don't think he should be fighting anybody Marias, I think would be a good fight, but even then, I think Marias could beat Cody. I think if they want to have a big fight near the end of the year, they could just marinate on it, have Cody fight somebody in the meantime, and have Sean get in his first ranked opponent. But I think Garbrandt O'Malley is the fight to make at some point during this year. Whether it's next or not, I don't know. But yeah, O'Malley, man, he's got it. There's something about that kid. He's got the energy. And he passed the test. He really, really did. He didn't just pass the test. He squashed the test. Eddie Wineland, former WEC champion. Yeah, he wasn't ranked going in. And he hasn't been a top 10 guy for probably 2 or 3 years now. But he's still a damn durable guy, and he was coming off of a knockout win. So it's not exactly like he was just some scrub in there. Yeah, man, Sean O'Malley, absolutely phenomenal performance. Speaking of somebody who didn't, we could talk. We're about to talk about the undercard. I was about to ask you if there's any fights you want to talk about on the undercard, but I was actually going to start real quick because there's one I really want to talk about. Alex Caceres, Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper was kind of the other guy on this card that was kind of positioned to, Sean O'Malley was getting his big test on the main card opener, and Chase Hooper was headlining the prelim. He was headlining the prelims. So it kind of seemed like it was positioned for both guys to get a big win. Not in the same weight class, but Chase Hooper's fighting a featherweight. And he's taking on a guy in Alex Caceres who's kind of been up and down. If you can beat Alex Caceres, you're probably going to be around the top 15. If you can't, then you have some issues. Chase Hooper didn't just lose to Alex Caceres. He got his ass kicked by Alex Caceres. Chase Hooper was getting the big UFC push. I think he's 2-0 in the UFC. I know he won the Contender Series. I know he won his UFC debut. They put him on the thing of M&Ms, and they send that out to press people, and he was getting the big push, and he just got squashed. What did you think about that fight? Because I had really mixed opinions on that fight, man. Like, that one was just kind of sad to me.
I mean, it happens. He's probably the youngest guy in the promotion right now, and I mean, it's all good. I mean, he has a lot of time to learn. I think no matter what, he has a lot of time to progress, and I mean, he's fighting a guy who's been there, 20 plus times, so almost 30. I can't really hate on him for losing to a guy who's been in there quite a bit. It's kind of up and down, but maybe he's like decently rounded. He could probably catch someone who is younger and maybe not as experienced off guard. So I don't think he should be getting hate or anything because of him not be able to come out and maybe meet a straight expectation that people expected. I mean, we wanted him to win, and we thought he would win because it's kind of like, well, this would be a good test to show us where you're at. So I don't think there's a big issue here.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a big issue, but I was a little bit disappointed. Yeah, kid's still got potential. I do think he really needs to work on his hands, though. That's part of the reason why I picked Alex Caceres to win that fight. I thought that just he gets hit way too much, man. He doesn't have the knockout power at this point in his career, anyways. You can just tell he's still only 19, so he's still developing as a fighter. But goddamn, he really needs to work on some head movement, man. Like head movement. Somebody's got to work with that kid in this boxing. But is there anything else from the undercard you want to talk about? Because I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened on 250 on the undercard.
I mean, we could also talk about the Alex Perez win over Jose Formiga in the first round. Did not see that coming.
I didn't either.
Yeah, that was I expected that to be maybe I don't know. I didn't expect the first round. I didn't think there'd be a knockout in that fight, to be honest with you. But that's wild. I mean, that's a guy right there who was near the title level competition. Just couldn't maybe get past them, but put up a decent challenge and just got slept in the first round, late in the first round. But still, I did not personally. I thought that was a bit insane.
Yeah, I did too. And Alex Perez, man, he's a guy. He's young, and he deserves the next title shot. I don't know what he's ranked right now. He should be ranked near the top, though. He only has one loss in the UFC, which is Joseph Benavidez. But outside of that, knocked out Jose Shorty Torres, beat Mark De La Rosa, submitted Jordan Espinoza, and now he just beat Jussier Formiga, who's been one of the top guys in that division forever, and he did it with leg kicks. Like, he just beat the shit out of his legs, man. Absolutely phenomenal performance by him there. Coach Damon getting a good emotional win into his brother passed this past week, so obviously very emotional win for him. Ian Heinisch picking up a nice win over Joe Mishart inside the first round. He was almost off the card due to a false positive COVID test by one of his cornermen. And then Devin Clark. This is one I want to talk about because Devin Clark, right? He's a guy that's kind of been up and down in the UFC. To put it mildly, I think he's even. He's beaten nobody of worth in the UFC. And he's facing Alonzo Menifield. Alonzo Menifield is like 6'4", jacked, and he's won all of his fights via, finish. I think he's 3-0 in the UFC at this point. He knocked out Vinicius Moreira. He knocked out Paul Craig. He's facing Devin Clark. He goes in there, and he beats the shit out of Devin Clark inside the first round. All expected to happen. Wasn't very surprised. And then Devin Clark, who's never really shown to be kind of a top 15 guy in the UFC, his biggest fight was getting choked out by Jan Wachowicz whenever Jan was, Jan had lost 3 fights in a row, and he got destroyed by him, right? That was the biggest fight of his UFC career. Now after breaking his orbital bone in the first round to one of the hardest hitting prospects of the division, he rebounds, he weathers the storm, and got a nice win. I was really happy for Devin Clark there, man. Awesome win by him. But is there anything else we want to talk about in the card, or we want to move to UFC Vegas 2 and probably the worst card of all time?
I think we're ready to move on to UFC Vegas 2.
All right, UFC Vegas 2. I've heard nothing but terrible things, and I don't even want to be mean to this card because I actually am on. I have a controversial opinion, and you know it's a bad card whenever I'm about to say something positive and it's a controversial opinion. The main event will probably be a fun fight. You know, Jessica I, whenever she has somebody who's willing to kind of move in and trade with her, and Chick Diaz. Cynthia Calvillo, I love that girl, bro. She's never been in a boring fight in the UFC. All of her fights are either finishes or they're really, really close fights. You know, she beat Joanne Carlowood in a really close fight, choked out Pearl Gonzalez, choked out Amanda Cooper, choked out Poliana Botello, beat Courtney Casey. And now she's moving up to flyweight because she had trouble making strawweight. And Jessica I is kind of a weird one because none of her flyweight fights have been that interesting, but her fights, whenever somebody's willing to come at her and kind of come in and trade with her in the pocket, they could be fun fights. Bethe Correia, she had a good fight with. Miesha Tate, she had a good fight with. Leslie Smith fight was awesome. So she's had good fights throughout her career. But say this card's been shit on, would be putting it incredibly mildly. I like some of the fights on the main card, but we could just move to predictions. Who do you got in the 5-round main event? Jessica I, Cynthia Calvillo.
Something I'm gonna pick my girl Jessica I out here. I have faith in her. I'm actually gonna have faith in her.
Really, that's actually I'm pretty sure she's the heavy favorite. I don't know the actual betting odds, but I'm 99% sure she's the favorite. So I mean, you got faith. I got to roll with my girl Chick Diaz. If the fact that that's not her nickname is pretty disappointing, because she's pretty much like a mini Nick Diaz, even down to getting popped for weed like 3 times.
Oh boy.
Yeah, just her fighting style. She's always coming forward. She never gasses. She thinks she wins all of her fights by decision. Like anytime there's a close decision, she thinks that she won, even if she didn't.
The hood knows I won that. The hood knows they won that.
The hood knows I won that fight. The hood knows. Adrian, you're 4-5 in your last 9 fights. Well, I'd be 9-0 against you.
What a guy.
I love that, man. Yeah, man, I'm gonna go Calvillo here. I think just her grappling is significantly better. I think she might just win on pressure alone. Jessica I is kind of shown to be in her recent fights be kind of a bit more hesitant. She's kind of the second one to throw off a punch. She's kind of more on the back foot. I think Calvillo is gonna take advantage of that. I think the smaller octagon is gonna help her when it comes to the grappling. Calvillo is probably gonna be the lot smaller fighter. Jessica I used to fight at bantamweight. But also, Calvillo, she's a very strong grappler. And I'm going to take her via probably decision. I think no matter what, this fight will go to a decision. And then the co-main event, Carl Robertson, Marvin Vettori, both guys kind of on the edge of the top 15. This one has a lot of heat behind it. Starvin' Marvin is starving for a fight, my man. This guy has been waiting for a fight forever. He's most known, honestly, in the UFC for taking Israel Adesanya to a split decision. But he last fought Andrew Sanchez in 2019. He's been sitting on the shelf since then, man. Like I don't know all of his fights. Let me just check real quick. Like he was supposed to fight Darren Stewart in March, but that fight was canceled because of COVID. Supposed to fight Carl Robertson in April, except that fight got postponed because of ESPN canceling those fights. He's supposed to fight him last month. But Robertson missed weight and then was pulled due to kidney issues, and now that fight got scheduled again, and that's where we're at right now. Marvin Vettori, Carl Robertson coming off 2 straight wins, Vettori coming off 2 straight wins after his split decision loss to Israel Adesanya. I think I'm gonna take Marvin Vettori here, man. I think that kid's hungry. I think he's young. I think he wants to get into the rankings. I think he should be ranked already. He's faking guy in Carl Robertson. I like Carl Robertson. He has heavy hands, but I don't know if he'll be able to beat him. And I don't know if that'll be enough against Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori's got heavy hands and he's got the submission abilities. I'm gonna take Marvin Vettori here in the co-main. Who do you got?
I'm also taking Marvin Vettori. I don't believe this, but some people call him the Izzy Kryptonite. You know that?
Wait. Who's ever said this?
You can look it up, bro. If you Google Marvel Vittori, a lot of videos will pop up that say the Izzy Kryptonite. I'm not saying I believe it, but we're going with the Izzy Kryptonite on this fight card.
All right, we're going with the Izzy Kryptonite. I mean, that fight that was a controversial decision because I know some people thought Marvin Vittori didn't do much to get the split decision. But if I remember correctly, it's been 2 or 3 years since this fight happened, so forgive my memory. But if I remember correctly, it was like Israel won the first round. The second round was close, and the third round Marvin dominated him. I remember Marvin took him down and beat the shit out of a young Izzy on the ground. So yeah, I had no problem with the split decision at the time. I didn't think he won the fight, but I could see why they came to that conclusion. So I think that fight will be fun if he can get back to the top. He's still a really, really young kid. He's got the skills to pay the bills. Only loss in UFC was to Izzy, and I think he also lost to Antonio Carlos Jr. in his first fight. But even then, at the time, Antonio Carlos Jr. was on a bit of a run, so it wasn't very surprising. But I think he wins that fight if they fight again. Is there anything on the rest of the card that you like? Because I know there's a lot of fights that I think are going to be bangers, but there's not a whole lot of star power.
Personally, nothing I would like to highlight.
Well, that's disappointing. So I'll do it for you. Let me talk about.
Oh, what a guy!
Let me talk about all these fights. All right, Andre Freely, Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain's coming off the knockout over Doo Ho Choi, and it's been a while since he's been out. But that kid loves to swing and bang. Andre Freely, he's a long, lanky guy, and right now, Andre Freely's looking like the best he has in his UFC career. I don't know if he's ranked, but he should be. He beat Miles Jury. Actually, well, real quick, he beat Artem Lobov. He beat Dennis Bermudez. Lost a close decision to Michael Johnson that I thought he won, and then he beat Miles Jury. He knocked out Shaman Moraes, and then he fought Sadiq Youssef in a fight that was close, and I remember thinking that he might have won. Like, that fight was super, super close. He's looking great right now. And then Charles Jourdain loves to swing and bang. Merab, oh my god, I hate pronouncing this kid's name. Merab Devilishi is on a 3-fight winning streak. And his fight against Casey Kenny, he looked like a mini Habib. He's trained by Ray Longo and Matt Serra. Young dude, he's only 29. And he's looked great in his last 3 fights. Terrion Ware, Brad Catone, and Casey Kenny. And he's taking on Ray Borg. Ray Borg making a quick turnaround. He fought last month. Now he's going to fight this month. I'm going to take Merab to win that fight. I think that fight's going to be awesome. I think some of the grappling exchanges that one are going to be absolutely great. Charles Rose and Kevin Aguilar should be a lot of fun. Real quick, I want to highlight where is it? I want to highlight my girl, Maria Agapova. Maria Agapova, Invicta fighter, 9-1. She is extremely entertaining, man. I've seen all of her fights in Invicta. I think she went 3-0 in the promotion. I know she fought in the Contender Series, and I think she won the fight but didn't get the contract. She's in the UFC now. She's taking on Hannah Cifers. Hannah Cifers, I think, fought 2 weeks ago against Mackenzie Dern. I'm going to take Agapova to win that fight, bro. I'm very high on this girl. She's very young. She has great Muay Thai. She has good submission abilities. So yeah, man, I'm going to shout her out. Shout out a couple fights on that card. But that's all we got for the UFC Apex card, UFC Vegas 2, iCalvillo, the much maligned card. Everybody's calling it the worst card in UFC history. I think it's actually really, really entertaining. Tends to be the worst cards that end up being a lot of fun. So we'll see, man. Speaking of cards that we know are going to be entertaining, UFC 251 was finally announced. It finally happened, guys. Fight Island, like the location, is going to be Yas Island over there in the UAE. And with that, the International Fight Week card, which is not International Fight Week, was announced, man. UFC 251. I'm going to just run down the card real quick. The headliner, Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns. It's worth noting, these two are teammates. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But apparently, Gilbert Burns was the third option. First, they asked Jorge Masvidal, and Jorge wanted a lot more money. Apparently, they had negotiation issues. Then they went to poor Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards cannot leave the country due to the UK's extremely strict travel bans. So that man got screwed once again. He got screwed out of the Woodley fight. Now he got screwed out of a title shot. And then finally they went to Gilbert Burns, who was the third option. And he got it. He got the title fight. Our boy Gilbert Burns, Darlinho. I know we're both very high on him. He got the title shot. So shout out him. Next up on the card, Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway 2, the rematch. Seeing if Blessed, the greatest featherweight of all time, can return to the top and get his title back. Vacant bantamweight title fight, Peter Yan taking on Jose Aldo Jr. Amazing fight right there. Jose does not deserve the title shot, but I'll be damned, it's not a fun stylistic fight. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade 2. Rose and Jessica had an awesome fight last year before Rose got slammed on her head. Absolutely awesome fight right there. And then Paige Van Zant, 12 gauge, making her return, take on the rising prospect, who I'm personally super high on, the Brazilian Amanda Ribas. First of all, there's a lot to analyze about this card, but I'll just ask you straight up. The card is $60. You have a little bit of money lying around. Do you buy it or not? Just how high do you think of this card? Because I know when it comes to us, we don't buy shit. But would you consider buying this card?
I mean, it's a great card. I would maybe think about it. But, I'm more of the, split type of thing. Maybe I call a buddy and, we go half and half type deal. Personally,
that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you should always do. I mean, I don't think anybody should honestly buy a $60 pay-per-view on their own, but
it's not bad. This is great. Let me say that right now. Like, this is a good card. Like, this is worth buying. Like, this is worth your money.
Yeah, I agree. Is this one of the greatest cards? Like, I don't want to say of all time, but I mean, just take a look at that undercard too. We got Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munoz. I know that's on there. Yuri Prochazka, I think is how you pronounce his name. Is going to be fighting Volkan Ozdemir. Is this one of the greatest fight cards of all time? Like on paper.
It has to be up there, I think if we maybe sit down one day, maybe and put all the cards, lay them out in front of us, not all the cards, but all the notable ones in front of us, maybe we find ourselves, considering it up really high up there, and probably would.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless, a phenomenal card. I'm super excited for this one. I can't wait to run it down. Like, I feel like kind of it sucks because we have to wait a bit to kind of preview this fight card. I think it happens July 11th. But regardless, goddamn, that's an amazing card. If you were to pick one fight off that main card that you were most excited for, which one would it be?
Man, they're all bangers, but personally, the Max and the Volkanovski fight is definitely the one I'm most excited for. I'm curious to see how Max adapts against Alexander in their next go around.
Yeah, I'm really high on that fight as well. Seeing if Blessed can reclaim the throne. That one's gonna be because here's the thing: people say that like he got blown out of the water in that one, and he kind of did for 3 rounds. He had no answer to leg kicks. I thought he won those last 2 rounds, man. He switched stances. He finally started to find his range, and it looked like he kind of figured out Volkanovski to me. But obviously, we'll have to see what happens there. Typically, immediate rematches do not go the way of the former champion or whoever lost the first fight. So for me, it has to be Jose Aldo Peter Yan. I love Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. I love Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Hall. I love all the fights on the main card, even PVC and Amanda Ribas. But listen, man, Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, that's an awesome fight right there, man. Like, for the vacant title, neither guy should be there, but the striking in that fight, holy shit. That's gonna be an amazing fight striking wise to see those two go at it. And for me, it's the first real big test of Peter Yan. I mean, I know he beat Jimmy Rivera. I think he beat John Dodson. I don't remember though. I know he beat Uriah Faber, the 41-year-old. Not 41. I think he's actually only 40. I think I gave him an extra year. But yeah, obviously beat Uriah, but he was a bit older, not very active. But yeah, that's an awesome fight for both guys there. I'm super psyched for that one. So yeah, to kind of move on to more fight announcements, DC Cormier. Wow, I messed up there. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic 3 was officially announced, and I gotta ask, is this the right call? Because we know Francis Ngannou is waiting on the sidelines. We know Curtis Blades and Alexander Volkov are about to fight as well. Is this the right move?
I mean, we all knew it was defend the title or vacate it. That was the situation, right? because the trilogy, I think we were all perfectly okay with. The issue is the trilogy's taking quite a while, and it's kind of annoying at this point. But something, at least the fight's announced now. Like at this point, no matter what I say, it doesn't matter. I used to be able to complain and say whatever I want. Well, I mean, I guess I still can, but the thing is, like at this point, there's no point in me complaining because the picture's already set, and the rematch is going down, and I'm perfectly okay with that because a rematch between these two guys, we know is going to be good. And it's gonna suck when DC wins and retires live on stage. So it is what it is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as Max Holloway would say, it is what it is. For me personally, I guess it's the right move. You can't. No point in vacating if he's going to be able to fight in August, which is, I mean, he said he wasn't going to be ready until potentially October, November, December. So I guess all that public pressure and the UFC pressure actually got to the guy. So UFC just doesn't give a fuck. I'm sure they just told him that they'd move on otherwise. So to me, this sets up a lot of interesting stuff. Like, obviously, we'll have to see what happens. But, like, if Stipe, obviously we know if DC wins, he retires. But then there's going to be a vacant title. And let's say Stipe lost via knockout. What happens then? Like, if they gave the title shot, do they give the title to Ngannou? Do they have Ngannou fight the winner of Blades, Volkov? But if it's Blades, it doesn't make sense considering he's beat Blades twice. But if it's Volkov, you should fight Volkov for the vacant title. But if Blades wins, you can't give the title shot to Stipe considering he's just lost 2 of 3 and got knocked out, or lost to Cormier again. He just lost his title. Do you give it to Derek Lewis? Who do you give it to? So it's just, there's a lot of stuff there to kind of talk about. But that's all we got for UFC. I say that's all we got. We just spent like 40 minutes talking about UFC, but kind of move on to the next story. The NBA. We know the NBA is going to be back, and we're all extremely excited. But we're finding out more and more details. I know that testing for recreational drugs is not going to be happening. So the players can smoke up all they want, apparently. But here's the most important details. 2 to 3 preseason games. We know the season's going to restart on either July 30th or July 31st. We know that apparently, depending on how well things go, there could be up to a 1,600 person max capacity in the arena. So hypothetically, there could be fans, but most likely it'd just be family and people that like media and probably just team facility people that would be around. But also the most important move, and the move that I've been seeing get roasted on Twitter, actually not even Twitter, everywhere, and deservedly so, but I understand why it's going to happen, is they're going to potentially pump in crowd noise via 2K20. Your first reaction to hearing that the NBA Finals, you might be hearing crowd noise from 2K.
It's a little weird. I think more than anything, it's going to be a little weird. Or maybe I'll feel at home. Maybe I'll be like, oh man, that's some 2K BS right there, or or whatever.
I mean, do you think it's ridiculous? Because I see a lot of people roasting it online.
I mean, maybe it won't be as bad as it sounds. I'm trying to be a little optimistic here.
Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna be, but I understand why it's happening. Because here's the truth, guys. As much as we would love to hear players talk shit, here's the sad part. This is gonna be live on ESPN. It's gonna be live on ABC. It's gonna be on TNT. They can't have this happen. Like they can't have the players talking shit. And because it's live television, well, they have a 7-second delay. They'll just have to mute the entire broadcast because you're going to be able to hear everything. And I guess they could do, if they don't do fake crowd noise, they might have to do what I see they're doing over in Korean baseball, and they might just have to play music. Like they'll have to pump in some music, but even then, it's like I'm not sure which of the two I'd rather hear, either crowd noise, fake crowd noise, or music. But yeah, man. I mean, the NBA is. I'm excited. I'm psyched for it returning. I wish it'd come a lot faster. And I know next month it's gonna feel real, but it still feels like we're such a long ways away. And I know it's not even that long away, considering it's only like a month and a half away. and we've been without it for longer than we'll have to wait. But I don't know, man. I'm excited, but I'm not sure how I feel about the crowd noise. But I know why it's happening. People need to realize they're gonna have to do something. You're not gonna be able to hear the players talking.
Listen to your own music.
They they should have earbuds in.
Yep.
It looks more like just a shoot around rather than an actual game.
Yep. Everything have AirPods in.
That'd be funny. And then they're not like, I wonder how they. But if they didn't have like music, I wonder what they'd have to do. Like, they just tell players not to talk to each other because they're gonna do it anyway.
I guess. I don't know.
I guess that's all we got for NBA. So, like, something real quickly to kind of move on, but like not move on. I just want to shit on something real quick. The MLB is currently, you know how like baseball should have been the first sport back. It just made sense. Those dudes were in training camp already. The season was set like a week before all this went down, right? The season was supposed to start like a week before all this went down. It is currently like, it's literally June. And the MLB may not have a season at all. Like, and somehow the NBA and the NHL, which are going to have to deal with so many more factors because it was close to the postseason, and they have to condense all these teams to a certain area, and like all this stuff going on, they somehow figured it out faster than the MLB, which may have no season at all. Like the NFL, the NBA, and well, not really the NFL. NFL is still trying to go on like everything's going to be normal. Which is bizarre to me, but the NBA and the NHL already figured this shit out, and the MLB has nothing to do. So I just saw this week that apparently the MLB sent a proposal that the players didn't like, and they're just like, all right, we're done sending offers. So it's like, there's be no season at all. Somebody else can tell me that, but like, it's ridiculous. Baseball, you see why it's like dying faster than any other sport. To move on to a sport that's apparently been booming for the past couple of years, boxing. Boxing is back. Real quickly, Shakur defeated Felix Calabaro. This fight, I've never seen anybody walk into more shots with zero head movement, any sort of defense in general, more than Felix Calabaro. And we kind of figured this would happen. He's 13-1-2. He's not exactly a known commodity, and he's taking on a former, Olympian, Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur got the job done. I know you probably didn't watch it, did you?
No, I watched the highlight.
Oh, you watched the highlight. All right. Well, that's basically all I needed to see. And by the way, we see all the Shakur Stevenson comparisons to Floyd Mayweather, to money and all that stuff. And he's got Money Mayweather down for sure. He landed 115 power shots against a guy that was walking forward, eating shots. And it took him 8 rounds to put him away. So he's definitely Money Mayweather in that aspect. This fight card sucked. It was nothing but mismatches the entire time. But real quick shout out to Quantavious Cash, who had the greatest name of all time. Quantavious Cash is the greatest name of all time, like straight up. And he was on the undercard. I don't know if he won or not. I kind of tuned out during his fight, but I believe he got the win. So, anyways, to kind of move on to the actual news that anybody gives a flying fuck about. Literally right before we kind of started recording, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua 2-fight deal. Official, I don't know if it's official. It's agreed in principle. So basically, it's more of like just a handshake or a verbal deal, which obviously those mean nothing. But Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua set for 2 fights. First one's going to be in the summer of 2021. This is all under the kind of auspices that both guys will win their next 2 fights. Because apparently, I say next 2. I know that their next fight is confirmed. I know that Fury has to beat Wilder in October or November, which actually we could talk about that next because the location's been narrowed down for that one. Which I'm not sure if you knew that one. I'm sure. Okay, well, cool. We can talk about that. And then Anthony Joshua obviously has to get through Pulev, which I think is happening in September or October. You hear the news. I mean, what are your first thoughts? Because obviously Fury Joshua, this is happening, but it may not happen until. It may not happen at all because obviously it's conditional that like if these guys win. But I mean, what's your first thought of the news?
I mean, I think as fans, we wanted this. I think the Battle of the Brits was something we've been waiting. It had to go down. Who's the better English boxer? Who is it? Is it Joshua? Is it Fury? Who is it going to be? And this is a great they have they have their storyline. It's perfectly laid out for them. It's like Civil War. That's the thing. That's how they're gonna promote it. Who's gonna wave the flag. Who's gonna go down. Like, what's the situation. So this is just perfect for you can sell. This is money here. But on top of that, it's a good boxing match. So I think they're pushing for something good here. But like you said, it's all like war to boys to boys kind of agreement. Nothing's official yet on paper.
Yeah, which I think is important to note because when these deals happen, whenever it's just them like kind of agreeing via like a verbal agreement or a handshake deal, that means nothing. And I'm seeing all the like it's official, they're gonna be fighting and that whole stuff. That doesn't really matter. I'll just say it right now. It does not matter whatsoever. So yeah. But to kind of move on to that's why, in case you're wondering, that's why we're not really talking much about it, because that's not what we're not talking about, the intricacies of the deal, and because there's not much known, because there's really not a deal. There's no official deal right now. There's no locations. There's no money involved. There's no money split, because obviously there's always got to be a split. It's never 50-50. There's none of that. So to kind of move on to the news, Tyson Fury, according to Bob Arum, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trilogy will be going down either in, I believe, Macau, China, or Sydney, Australia. Now, both of those are apparently in the talks for October. Which of those two promotions, which of those two locations would you prefer, and do either one of those make sense? Like, is that disappointing at all? Because obviously they could have. Originally, they were going to wait until August, and they moved it back, and then they're originally going to wait till next year to do it, February of next year to do it. But now they're just going to go ahead and settle on either Australia or China and do it in October in front of a small crowd.
I mean, as far as time zones, that sucks for us in the States, but I mean, it's whatever. I mean, as long as it happens, that's better than anything, in my opinion. But obviously, like the dream location, I think will always be like MSG, in the Garden, full of fans. But with everything going on, that's not the reality.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, we're getting the MGM Grand back, Angel. They Shakur just fought in the MGM conference room yesterday. So,
we're getting there.
We're working there. Maybe we'll have them fighting in the MGM bathroom next.
WWE style. I feel you.
Fighting in the MGM, the MGM grocery store. We'll do it at all of the locations.
Oh, you're right. Maybe
But
that's what we'll get to.
No, but it's obviously disappointing for in the States, because it seemed like the first two fights have been in. Actually, the first one was in California. The second one was in Vegas. And now to apparently be moving to the whole other side of the country. And if it happens in Australia, I'm pretty sure it'd be going down in the morning here, like early morning. Like I want to say like 7, 6, 7, somewhere around there, which is I'd get up for that. If it's happening in China, bro, that will be happening at 2 in the morning. The UFC's done fight cards in China, and like the main event will go down at 3 a.m. And that's just something like I'd still be awake to see it. I'd pull an all-nighter, but I'd be very disappointed. But honestly, I want the division to keep on moving, because this is the issue. Like, and I talked about this before, and I've ranted about it before. But like, these guys need to get going, man. Like, they can choose not to. Obviously, they don't need to. It's their choice. It's the promoter's choice if they want to. I understand why they don't want to fight in front of no crowd. Like Canelo said, like he's gonna be fighting September, crowd or not. But like, come on, like something's got to get moving in this division where there's so much hang up. You know what I mean? Like Dillian White's gonna be fighting again for like a pointless title whenever he should have gotten his title shot a long time ago. Like, and then Pulev's been waiting for his mandatory for years, and he's finally getting it, and they're pushing it off and off and off. And then, Fury, Wilder 3, which was supposed to happen in the summer, now it may not happen until next year. I'm happy that they're settling on October, November to kind of get it done, even if it is going to happen in Australia or China, and the time zone to kind of suck, but I'm still cool with it. I believe that's all we got for this week, though. Angel, you got anything else?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head.
All right, guys. So that's going to be all for us. Courtside Sound 1 on Twitter. Courtside Soundoff. You can find us on anywhere you can find a podcast. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Podbean. CourtsideSoundoff.podbean.com is our main place. If you guys can go there, you can guys get the fight plus 7-day free trial through that as well. I'm at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. Have over 1,000 followers. If you guys, a quick little thing. He's at Undertiga_01. If you guys want to follow him, I know my man doesn't tweet much, but I'm sure he'd still appreciate it. But yeah, guys, so that's all we got for us. So peace and butt grease. Mouse click.